Are you looking for ways to add more storytelling and video to your curriculum? Casey and I have a suggestion. AI-powered education is next. Welcome. Casey and I are here to talk about storytelling and video and both how it can help and assist the teacher as well as be a tutor for the learner. And this is really exciting because we both have and do teach editing and all that kind of thing for like content area, but the power of video is so important. And the best way to often help people that might be multilingual learners or newcomers or students that are just struggling, or those students that are just much more visual. They love art and they love that creative part, and just the text, just that the words it's just not enough for them. And so we have an opportunity to share with you today. Again, we often go to a tool, but there are many out there. We're not necessarily promoting that one is better over the other, but we'll give you some features and you can go and find whatever you want. And I know there's some open source material as well, but this is just a really great way to jump in and really help learners who need that differentiation. It's even more than differentiation. It is universal design, because storytelling and the visual, and you put it all together, that's where I think the magic definitely happens. So Casey, why don't you talk a little bit about how you see video helping learners and also teachers, because teachers go and use video a lot too. So tell us how you see this all playing out.
Well, one of the things that I think a lot about is how do I get students to be more involved in their video watching? So it's not that passive, let the video happen to me. Instead, how do I interact with it? And a lot of times what we end up doing in our classrooms is asking students to summarize. What did the video say? What did the video do? And unfortunately, that's just not really deep. That just is surface level. And although it's easier for some students and not so easy for others, I do feel like a lot of times that's a lot of work that needs to be done to summarize videos. You pause, go back, replay. And that's great interaction, but is that really at the heart of what we need students to do with the content of that video? And I also struggle with that too. Sometimes it's like, okay, if I want to use this video as a lecture tool in my classroom, how much time do I need to dedicate to breaking down this 15-minute long tutorial or this whatever it might be? And just to get the basics of like outline the video content for me. And a lot of YouTube videos have an outline, they have a timestamp, they have these features there, but some videos, like ones that I create for my students, they don't have that. Right. And so I wanted to find a tool that could maybe help navigate my teaching, resources and how I can make it easier to incorporate videos for my lessons, but also my students, like you mentioned, multi-language learners or students who maybe are at a different level than some of their peers who maybe struggle a little bit with that summarization. So one of the tools that I found was this video highlight. It's free. Of course, you answer a few questions because they're still gaining some insight as to how they will market this product. So I let them know that I'm a teacher, that I'm using this for educational purposes, that I don't want to pay for it, like ever. But if I had to, I gave them some sort of price range that I would be willing to pay for it. Once I'm in there, super easy, I put in a YouTube video. So I put in our latest video where we interviewed Roberta Freeman. I went through and asked it to summarize it for me. Very clear, obviously at a level that I think our video was presented at. So we're interviewing a college level teacher. That's where I felt like the content was at. Then there's also an outline of like what we're seeing. Maybe the highlights, as it's called, video highlight. And that would be really great talking points to be able to bring people back to. All of this is done within seconds. I don't need to waste a lot of time trying to summarize something. My students don't need to either, because they don't need to do that work.
Right. And because you would go back and go like, well, where is that section? And what was that topic or the chapter or the, like you said, what is the important highlight? And that's just your minutia. We don't need to do that. Right.
Well, right. And that's great. Like, we need students to be able to summarize. Like, don't get me wrong. We need to be able to do that. But a lot of times the video content, it's not just about summarizing. It's about getting into something deeper. So what's really cool about Video Highlight is they have built in OpenAI chat. So you can interact with the video content and your, external purpose. What is it that you need this video for? You can ask it. So I just asked it a few questions about how I might use this content. One of the things that was really interesting to me is I kind of got hung up right away on like, wait a second, this is doing a lot of work that I need students to do. It's summarizing it. It's taking out key ideas. It can easily answer the questions that I might, if I had like a worksheet of questions for this video, which I've done in the past for something, it would answer it for them. So I'm like, how am I to use this then? And I simply asked, I said, I don't want it to replace my students' thinking, doing, or whatever. And it gave me a pretty good response as to how should I use this information so that I'm getting much deeper, that higher order of thinking, so that students are analyzing and synthesizing versus just simply retelling what had happened. And so I think Video Highlight has a lot of potential to be the assistant for me. I even asked it, how would I cite this as a source? And it said personal assistant. Excellent. Thank you. And then how would my students use this? I think it would be really an excellent tool for any age, because I also asked chat to maybe put things in terms that are more appropriate for a certain grade level, or put it into a language that's more accessible for students, maybe multilingual learners.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of potential.
So you have the transcript there, and you can like do all the things you just said, but now you're maybe at a point where you want to maybe it's at a fourth grade level, but that some of the people in your room need to be reading at a first grade or need whatever. So then tell us what happens. Or maybe you do have the multilingual learner. Tell us, how do you get from the transcript and what you've all done into maybe a different language or a level?
Well, within the chat feature, I just said refer to the summary that you created. Translate that into Spanish at a third grade level. And it gave me, a very abridged version. And again, I would probably want to like cross-check that, make sure that that's as accurate as it possibly can be. But on the first pass through, it seemed as simple as giving it the right prompt. And that's really what I think a lot of us are learning constantly within the use of OpenAI is, what does the prompt need to be? And this is really great for students too, is to get them to the point where they are asking the right questions to be able to use that content in the best possible way for your discipline or your grade level.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is when you think about just how that crafting of the prompt, as you were just mentioning, is also like to put that lens of bias, social justice, like what, am I missing something?
Yes.
So that it's also built right in there so that we are looking for bias, or we are looking for, culturally, responsive materials. So
Great.
That's
excellent.
Super cool. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we know that there are many more of these. You don't have to go to highlights. You can go to many other, but this happened to be one that really had everything built into it. We didn't have to copy and paste it and go find Diffit or Brisk or, Edu8i and paste it in there. It was already there.
Right. It really does feel very much like a tool that can be kept as a bookmark, and you can refer back to it as often as you need to. It's not necessarily something that I think teachers are going to use every single day. But I know I have certain courses that are heavily reliant on video content. My video productions class, for example, we learn through tutorials frequently. And this is a type of thing that will help us become better teachers and students become better learners. So I think you have to kind of see where your content is at. And maybe those teachers who are a little bit more hesitant to rely on video content, and maybe they are text heavy. Here's my textbook, here's my literature, this is what I use in this course. And maybe they'll be more open to incorporating video content into their lessons because they know that there are resources available to help students break down, understand, to differentiate that video content. Because that can be really challenging. Videos are made usually with one particular audience in mind, and that language is not always suitable for all of the learners in our room. And I think Video Highlights does give us some flexibility to make any video work.
Well, again, it's what we talked about before. It's personalization. It's meeting all the needs of our learners. It's not taking up all of our time, because now we can easily and to me, that is just amazing, where you can have how quickly you don't have to go search for those resources. Those rich resources are there for all learners at your fingertips, and that's what we like. So Thanks for sharing how you used the highlights, and it is again, just one of many tools out there. Don't forget about open source when maybe you're searching for something like that. But again, it's summer, so go out, play, and enjoy all these different AI tools. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.